Hey guys, how's it going? Today, yes, we have come to the end of my Lana Del Rey discography journey. Sadly, with her 7th studio album, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, which was just released a few months ago in March of 2021. But don't fret, because yes, as we all know, she is putting out a brand new album in just over a week and a half. So very soon, her 8th studio album, Blue Banisters. She will be releasing that album on the 4th of July, naturally. So I for sure will be doing a video for that album, probably on the Tuesday following the 4th of July, Sunday. She also released a few songs from that album already. Blue Banisters, Textbook, and Wildflower, Wildfire, and I haven't listened to them yet. I'm holding off on listening to them because I want to listen to the full album for the first time without hearing any of the songs before. Now, Chemtrails Over the Country Club was initially supposed to be called White Hot Forever, and the album is also produced by not only Lana Del Rey, but Jack Antonoff, who also produced her prior album, Norman Bleeping Rockwell. And from my understanding, this album is going to be more folk-sounding, country folk, Americana, of course. So I'm really excited to hear the sound of this album. Now, there are 11 tracks on the album. I don't recall hearing any of these songs before. So let's kick it off with track number 1, White Dress.
White stripes when they were white hot. When I was a waitress, wearing a tight dress. Look how I got this. Down at the Vietnamese and the business conference. Cause it made me feel like a guy. Wearing a white dress. Look how I do this. Look how I got this. I was a waitress. Down in Orlando, I was only 19. I was a waitress. Wearing a tight dress. Cause it made me feel like a god.
And that was track number 1, White Dress. Wow. Wow. First and foremost, I mean, I have to comment on her vocals, especially during the chorus. I also want to say that I absolutely love the production of this song. I love jazz music. I mean, it's not a genre I typically listen to all the time, but I find it to be very pleasant to listen to, and it's very calming and relaxing, and that's what this song was. And honestly, I feel like this might be one of my favorite opening tracks to any Lana Del Rey album. I really liked the journey I went on listening to the production. It started off soft and gentle, and then it kind of escalated a little bit, and then it went back down, and the song ended the way it started, quiet and gentle. When I was a waitress wearing a white dress, look how I do this, look how I got this. I was a waitress working the night shift. You were my man, felt like I got this. Down at the Men in Music Business Conference. I also like how she brings up other bands that she listened to back then. Listening to jazz out on the lawn, listening to White Stripes when they were white hot, listening to rock all day long. When I was a waitress wearing a tight dress handling the heat. I wasn't famous, just listening to Kings of Leon to the beat. She's definitely reminiscing about, I guess, a happier time in her life. It's very nostalgic for her back when she was a waitress. I don't know if this is completely autobiographical. I don't know if she actually was a waitress back then. Maybe she's just telling a story. Maybe it actually happened. It kind of makes me feel like maybe I was better off, because it made me feel like a god. When talking about the song herself, Lana Del Rey said, "The song is quite weird, taking on a theme of white all over the lyrics. In literature, the color white usually represents purity or innocence." It also says that the song is inspired by her personal life when she worked as a waitress in Long Island for about a year. I definitely feel like I might be gushing over this song, but I just loved the entire aesthetic of the song. I liked the lyrics, the production, and her voice. I just liked everything about it. I also don't know who Sun Ra is. She brings up Sun Ra in the lyrics, and it says here that Sun Ra was an American jazz composer, band leader, piano and synthesizer player, and poet, known for his experimental music. But anyway, let's move on to track number 2, Chemtrails Over the Country Club.
I'm on the run with you, my sweet love. There's nothing wrong in the swimming pool. Me and my sister just playing it cool. And all of you do go to the market. You won't play, you know, fun. Under the chemtrails, over the country club. Meet you for coffee at the elementary school. I'm still so strange and wild. Out in the wind, on in the water. We're picking chemtrails over the country club. I want you hugging like when we were kids under chemtrails and country club. Yeah, you plunged in the sun, but then I thought you'd jump.
And that was track number 2, Chemtrails Over the Country Club. This is another great song I really enjoyed. That melody, I really liked the melody of this track, and of course the production, and I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy for Lana Del Rey because she just keeps getting better with her albums. You can definitely see the growth of her music album to album through her entire discography, and she's no one-trick pony, and that's what I love about her music. And I'm gonna say it, this album is beautiful to listen to. It's gorgeous. It's ear candy. It really is. I'm on the Run with You, My Sweet Love. There's Nothing Wrong. Contemplating God. Under the Chemtrails Over the Country Club. We're in our jewels in the swimming pool. Me and my sister just played it cool. Under the Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Drag Racing My Little Red Sports Car. I'm not unhinged or unhappy. I'm just wild. We know, Lana. We know you're wild. We laugh about nothing as the summer gets cool. It's beautiful how this deep normality settles down over me. There is something quite frivolous about this album, lyrically and story-wise. Just reminiscing about her past and, I guess, being at the country club in this song and romanticizing summer, I guess. She's also romanticizing just relationships and love as well. Now, it does say here that the lyrics of the song pertain to her stunning girlfriends and beautiful siblings, who so much of the album is about. Also mentioning wanting so much to be normal and realizing that when you have an overactive, eccentric mind, a record like Chemtrails is just what you're going to get. Now, it looks like there was some controversy surrounding the album when it was released. Of course, it's Lana Del Rey. It looks like a lot of people were saying how the album cover lacked diversity. Now, Lana Del Rey's response to that was the group of women in the album artwork are her friends. She also said, as it happens when it comes to My Amazing Friends and this cover, yes, there are people of color on this record's picture, and that's all I'll say about it. Some of the people on the cover, she wrote, were Valerie from Del Rio, Mexico, my dearest friend Alex, and my gorgeous friend Dakota Rain, as well as my sweetheart Tatiana. We are all a beautiful mix of everything, some more than others, which is visible and celebrated in everything I do. In 11 years working, I have always been extremely inclusive without even trying to. But overall, I thought this was another great track on the album, and I would definitely listen to it again. So let's move on to track number 3, Tulsa, Jesus Freak. I will say, going through Lana Del Rey's entire discography, she has some interesting track names for a lot of her songs.
You should stay real close to Jesus. Keep that bottle in your hand, my man. No more candle in the wind. You should come back to our place, baby. 'Cause down in Arkansas, the stores are all closed. Kids in their hoodies, they dance super slow. Find your way back to my bed again. Sing me like a Bible hymn, like a little piece of heaven. No more candle in the wind. White hot forever. White hot forever and ever. Just to rest my nerves, darling. Can I make you laugh with a smile? You should stay real close to Jesus. Keep that bottle in your hand, my man. White hot forever. White hot forever. Dreams gonna burn like a little piece of heaven.
And that was track number 3, Tulsa, Jesus Freak. And I enjoyed this song as well, just like the other 2 tracks, but out of the first 3 tracks, this one is probably my least favorite. You should stay real close to Jesus, keep that bottle at your hand, my man, find your way back to my bed again, sing me like a Bible hymn. She's also talking about going back to Arkansas, we're white hot forever, and only God knows you should stay real close to Jesus. I always thought it was pronounced Arkansas, but she actually pronounces it Arkansas. So I don't know what's the most popular way to pronounce it, Arkansas or Arkansas. And she also says if you don't pray, you'll never learn. So sing me like a Bible hymn. She could be singing about this relationship, perhaps even sex and alcohol, and also somehow religion plays into that as well. I really don't know. The entire song is a sexual invitation to a man that Lana Del Rey seems to enjoy the company of. There's not enough evidence to say that she actually enjoys his company, in which case we would assume she just wants him out of necessity. A Jesus freak is a term made famous by Denzel Washington's 2001 movie Training Day, and what it points to is someone who is overzealous in his or her adherence to Christianity. So overall, I did enjoy the song. It's just not one of my favorites on the album so far. So let's move on to track number 4, Let Me Love You Like a Woman.
I come from a small town, how about you? Let me love you like a woman. Let me hold you like a baby. Don't make me be bittersweet. Let me love you like a woman. Let me hold you like a baby. I guess I could manage if you stay. Talk to me in songs and poets. Don't make me be bittersweet. Take you to infinity. Let me hold you like a woman. Don't make me be bittersweet. Let me love you like a woman.
And that was track number 4, Let Me Love You Like a Woman. And this was a nice song to listen to. I don't know if it would be a song I would listen to again. She does seem to be touching on small towns quite a bit on this album, and just reminiscing about her past. I come from a small town, how about you? I only mention it because I'm ready to leave LA and I want you to come. This is a very beautiful song lyrically. Let me love you like a woman, let me hold you like a baby, let me shine like a diamond, let me be who I'm meant to be. Talk about good old days, we could get high on some pink champagne. Baby, let me count the ways, let me love you like a woman. I will say this is a very lovely album so far. We are 4 tracks in, and I do like what she's singing about. I like these stories. But for me, the highlight of the album so far is the production. It's so pretty. There's something a little whimsical about the production on this album and just the arrangement of all the songs. It almost feels like, at times, I'm in a daydream. Now, I am looking at some of the reviews for this album, and some people have called it boring. I mean, this song in particular, Let Me Love You Like a Woman, it's not the most exciting song in the world, so I can see why some people would call this album boring, but I'm pleasantly enjoying myself. Now, Let Me Love You Like a Woman was selected as the lead single from the album. I don't know how I feel about this song being selected as the lead single. I don't know if I'm the only one, but this song doesn't sound like lead single material. If I had never listened to Lana Del Rey before, if this was my first time being exposed to her music, listening to this track, Let Me Love You Like a Woman, this song wouldn't make me want to rush out and buy the album or even listen to the album. But anyway, let's move on to track number 5, Wild at Heart.
What would you do if I told you you made me crazy? So I smoke cigarettes just to understand the smog, and coffee pots and instant thoughts with every drop I pour. I left Calabasas, escaped all the ashes, ran into the dark. If you love me, you love me, 'cause I'm wild, wild at heart. You heard I was out in the bars, drinking, tracking coke, going crazy for anyone who would listen to my stories, babe. I love you lots, despite the odds. You're killing me, child, 'cause even in the worst of times, you saw the best of me, and it made me wild, wild, wild at heart. This made me wild at heart, 'cause I'm wild, wild at heart.
And that was track number 5, Wild at Heart, and this was another pretty song to listen to. Once again, I feel like the production was the highlight. I'm not crazy about the melody of this song or the lyrics. I do like this lyric though. I love you lots like polka dots. Now, let me tell you, I am obsessed with polka dots when it comes to fashion. I love wearing polka dots. I have a polka dot tie, and I don't know, I have a little bit of a fetish for polka dots. I left Calabasas, escaped all the ashes, ran into the dark, and it made me wild, wild at heart. So once again, she's singing about leaving LA, leaving California, and going somewhere. She's singing about these small towns and traveling, escaping, nostalgia, and love as well. I love you lots despite the odds. You're killing me, John. And all these thoughts brought us apart, and that's okay too. Time after time, I think about leaving, but you know that I never do just cause you keep me believing. So she is singing about leaving California, but also perhaps she thought about leaving this person, this John, but she can't bring herself to do it. The cameras have flashes, they cause car crashes, but I'm not a star. If you love me, you'll love me, cause I'm wild at heart. But let's move on to track number 6, Dark, but Just a Game.
It's dark, but just a game. That's what he would say. Sweet but whatever, baby. And that's the price of fame. Sweet but whatever, baby. A pretty little fool. You gotta take them for what they got.
What is that
The
sound?
whole world is crazy. No rose left on the vines. Don't even want what's mine. dark, but just a game. That's a pretty thing. They keep changing all the time. The best ones lost their minds. Don't even want what's mine, much less the fame. It's dark, but just a game.
And that was track number 6, Dark But Just a Game. And there's something quite sad about this song. It's dark but just a game. That's what he would say to me. The faces aren't the same, but their stories all end tragically. And that's the price of fame. So I feel like she could be singing about the entertainment industry, whether that be movies or music, or just celebrity in general, perhaps. I'll stay the same. I'm not gonna change. No rose left on the vines. Don't even want what's mine, much less the fame. It's dark, but just a game. I was a pretty little thing, and God, I love to sing, but nothing came from either one but pain. There does seem to be some sort of theme of her wanting to escape California. And perhaps the paparazzi, and maybe even the music industry wanting to get away from what fame and fortune brings when you become a celebrity. She loves making music, but perhaps she doesn't like the dark side of what being a recording artist means. Dark, but just a game. When talking about the song, Lana Del Rey said, "Never meet your idols." It's interesting that the best musicians end up in such terrible places. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna try my best not to change because I love who I am. I said, Jack Antonoff, "Jack, it's dark." And he said, "Well, it's dark, but it's just a game." I really did enjoy this song as a whole. I liked the instruments on this track, and I liked the atmosphere of it. Compared to the last few tracks I've listened to already, this is probably one of my favorites. But let's move on to track number 7, Not All Who Wander Are Lost.
I've been wearing the same damn clothes for 3 damn days. You say you got my name on your tattoo. Not others who wander are lost. Others who wander are lost. The thing about being on the road is there's too much time to think. 'Cause every time I said no, it wasn't quite what I mean. You talk to people like I do, I think you know. Not others who wander are lost. Others who wander are lost. Look at me, look at you, look at what you made me do. Look at me, look at you. Not others who wander are lost.
And that was track number 7, Not All Who Wander Are Lost. And another pretty song on the album to listen to. It's very pleasant. This entire album so far has been very pleasant to listen to. It's like ear candy, at least for me it is. I especially liked the ending of this song. I just liked the instrumental, and it was very calming. The thing about men like you is you got a lot to say, but will you stay? You say you got my name on your tattoo, opening up doors, pulling out chairs, look at you. You talk to God like I do. I think you know the same secrets that I do. I'm talking about not all those who wander are lost. It's interesting how she says not all those who wander are lost, but then she says all those who wander are lost. It's just wanderlust. I do like the meaning behind the song. It's something I can relate to. So let's move on to track number 8, Yosemite. And yes, I had to look it up.
Seasons may change, but we won't change. changes. No more candle in the wind. Not like before when I was burning on both ends. We did it for the ride. Isn't it strange how different we are from all of our friends? The only thing we'll turn is the pages of all of the poems we burn. I'm invisible, like I was before. We did it for the right reasons. I remember watching television static. Was quite overwhelming. We did it for the right changes and seasons.
And that was track number 8, Yosemite, and I mean, another gorgeous song production-wise, and it's just so fascinating to see where she started with Born to Die and now with Chemtrails Over the Country Club. There is something quite mature about this album. Seasons may change, but we won't change. Isn't it sweet how we know that already? Winter to spring, spring back to fall. Isn't it cool how nothing here changes at all? She also says no more candle in the wind, and candle in the wind is a lyric she sang in one of the other songs. I forget which one. So perhaps now she's saying how you can't blow her out like a delicate flame. It's not like I'm invisible, not like before when I was burning at both ends. We did it for fun, we did it for free, I did it for you, you did it for me. She's also saying how she did it for the right reasons, so I don't know what she's talking about in particular. Maybe she's talking about her music and her artistry. Now, I've actually never heard of Yosemite before, and it's a national park located in California. It says here that the song was originally supposed to be on her 5th album, Lust for Life, but was cut from the final track list. There is a sense of Lana Del Rey wanting to stay who she is, not wanting to change, staying true to who she is as not just an artist, but a woman and a lover as well. So let's move on to track number 9, Breaking Up Slowly, featuring Nikki Lane.
Breaking up slowly is a hard thing to do. It's hard to be lonely, but it's the right thing. I don't wanna live with a life of regret. 'Cause breaking up slowly is a hard thing to do. It's hard to be lonely, but it's the right thing to do. Out on the line, we might be breaking up. 'Cause breaking up slowly is a hard thing to do. So don't send me flowers like you always do. I love you only, and it's making me blue. But it's the right thing to do.
And that was track number 9, Breaking Up Slowly, featuring Nikki Lane. And I really enjoyed this song. I don't know who Nikki Lane is. I've never heard of her before. I won't lie, her voice kind of reminded me of Miley Cyrus. I can't be the only one. She is an American country music singer-songwriter. I thought this song was beautifully sung, and lyrically, it is pretty self-explanatory. Breaking up slowly is a hard thing to do. I love you only, but it's making me blue. So don't send me flowers like you always do. It's hard to be lonely, but it's the right thing to do. It looks like George got arrested out on the lawn, and she says, we might be breaking up after this song. Will he still love me long after I'm gone? Let me just say that I can really appreciate the direction that Lana Del Rey went in with this album. Obviously, this album won't be for everyone, but I'm curious to know what diehard Lana Del Rey fans think of this album. I personally think it's a gorgeous album. It doesn't have the catchy hooks and melodies. It really doesn't. But what stands out to me are the vocals and the production. And that alone is doing it for me. So we are gonna move on to track number 10, Dance Till We Die.
I'm covering Joni and I'm dancing with John. But God, it feels good not to be alone. So we made it back in the middle of the night. We won't ask why, and we won't stop dancing till we die. Burdened by the weight of fame, and when all the bars close down tonight, so we made it back in the middle of the night. We won't stop dancing till we die. I went down a Woodside, tearing it up at the Afro-Caribbean Tuesday, by the San Francisco. So we made it back in the middle of the night. We won't stop dancing till we die. And we won't stop dancing till we die.
And that was track number 10, Dance Till We Die. Wow. Hands down, one of my favorite tracks from the album. I adore this song so much. I got a little emotional listening to this song. I don't know why, but I got a little teary-eyed. I don't know if you could tell, but this song kind of did something to me. Sometimes this ranch feels like my only friend, and life doesn't always work out like we planned. We keep it moving, babe, so we made it back in the middle of the night to the Louisiana two-step High and Bright. I really like this part here. We won't say when, we won't ask why, we won't stop dancing till we die, we'll keep walking on the sunny side, and we won't stop dancing till we die. She also says, burdened by the weight of fame, Clementine's not just a fruit, it's my daughter's chosen name. I really like the lyrics of this song. I love the story, and lyrically, this is probably one of my favorite tracks from the album. I also really liked the interesting transition towards the end. It's the part where she says, I left Berkeley, out of city, out of mind, killing it, talking shit. Joan said she was gonna quit, tearing it up at the Afro-Caribbean two-step. I mean, there are times where I listen to this album and I feel like I'm out in the country, I'm part of a small town. I did go to high school in a small town, so it's kind of taking me back to that, I don't know, small town community and the country, and I don't know, it's just making me think of that. But anyway, we have come to the end of the album, track number 11, For Free, featuring Zella Day and Wise Blood.
I slept last night in a good hotel. The wind rushed around in the dirty town. I was standing on a noisy corner, waiting for the walking green. For free. Now me, I play for fortunes. I got a black limousine and two gentlemen, and I'll play if you've got the money for free. Nobody stopped to hear him, so they passed his music by. Maybe put on a
And that was the final track of the album, For Free. And just like track number 10, Dance Till We Die, this is one of my favorite tracks from the album. There's something so comforting about these songs, and I loved the harmonies on this track in particular. Now, it does say here that For Free is a song by Joni Mitchell, so this is a cover, which I didn't know. I also really loved the story of the lyrics. Nobody stopped to hear him, though he played so sweet and high. They knew he had never been on their TV, so they passed his music by. The song is about Joni being mesmerized by the wonderful music a street musician plays while she is pondering the fame and riches she has achieved while this man plays for free. It just makes you realize how there's so much talent in the world, so many talented people, and their work goes unnoticed. And because they've never been on TV, or they've never released an album, or they're not popular on, I guess, I don't know, social media or whatever, people just pass them by and they couldn't care less. The more I talk about it, the more I love this song, and definitely one of the highlights of the album. So that was all 11 tracks of Chemtrails Over the Country Club, and you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really know what to expect going into this album, and I ended up enjoying it. First and foremost, the production. The production on this album is wonderful. It's so pretty and lush. It's so tender and innocent in a way. And it's jazz inspired, but also folk, obviously, and country. And it's very whimsical, and it just reminded me of when I was in high school, growing up in a small town, and just the scenery around my town, the trails and the forests and the parks, and it was just giving me that vibe. This album is quite nostalgic lyrically. She sings about the past and innocence, the color white, and obviously love, and even touching on fame, her fame, and leaving California. And she sings about all these different towns and states, and very American. I mean, this is Lana Del Rey. She has sung about Americana before in many of her other albums. I can see why some people would find this album boring. There are a few tracks that aren't particularly memorable, but overall, I loved the feelings I was experiencing as I was listening to quite a few of these songs. This album doesn't really have the catchy melodies and hooks, like I said already, but it doesn't need them because the production speaks for itself, and the arrangements and the instruments and even her vocals. I was shook a couple times, especially track number 1, White Dress, and also, there was another one, but I can't think of it right now. What I also like about this album is you can just hear the growth in her artistry, and it's so mature, and I love it when the artist grows and you can hear the growth, you can hear the maturity, and I liked it. So I think that's all I have to say about the album. What did you guys think of it? What are your impressions? So that is an official wrap on my Lana Del Rey discography journey for now, because she will be releasing Blue Banisters very soon, within the next week and a half. July 4th, the 4th of July is when she's releasing it. So I'm very much excited to listen to that album for the first time with you guys, because it will also be your first time listening to it. So my final question to you, now that we've reached the end of this Lana Del Rey discography journey, what does Lana Del Rey mean to you, and what does she mean to you as an artist, as a woman, as a songwriter, as a musician? Maybe she's your favorite artist of all time. Tell me why. When did you discover her for the first time? Maybe you have a special memory associated with one of her songs or one of her albums. Lana Del Rey is definitely a very unique artist. She's a very unique songwriter, and it's so interesting and fascinating for me to read her songs, just to learn more about her and to see how her mind works. She's quite rebellious, and weird, I guess. I'm gonna say it. She's weird. She really is, but not weird in a bad way. I mean, who cares if you're weird? I'm weird. She is just an extremely talented woman vocally and lyrically. There's also something quite American about her aesthetic. Obviously, she sings about Americana quite a bit in all her albums, and I liked how she was inspired by poets and literature. She is a very somber artist lyrically, and just her voice in general. The things she sings about, and her favorite color is blue. That's something I learned about her, and her music is very bluesy and sad, and sometimes it's a little too sad and it puts you down. But on the flip side, there's also something very adventurous about her music, and like I said, rebellious and edgy. She sings about very serious topics that a lot of us can relate to, like obviously relationships and the heartache and love that comes with being in relationships, but also addiction and drugs and alcohol. There were times where I was listening to some of her songs, in particular songs from her earlier albums, and it was like reading the diary of a 1950s or a 1960s housewife. And in my opinion, Lana Del Rey is definitely one of the greatest discoveries in music in not only the 2010s decade, but also the 21st century. She's also still quite young, so it's gonna be very interesting to see where her music progresses in the coming years and decades. I wonder if there will come a time where, I don't know, maybe there will come a time where she'll no longer have anything to say in her music, which I find that hard to believe, but she is pumping out quite a few albums lately, so I'm curious to know if at one point she's gonna take an extended break from music. I also want to ask you, where do you want Lana Del Rey to go next with her music? What genres do you want her to play around with? What do you want to hear from her next in her upcoming albums? So I think that's all I want to say about the album and Lana Del Rey herself and her discography. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me, you can say, hey, how are you? And I will see you next time. Take care.